Hello page turners and welcome back to the channel. I'm Matthew, the man with a hat who reads. And yes, this is another episode of Adaption Discussion. As you can see, I am at the theater, my place of work, because that's the best place to talk about a book to film adaptation, I think. And today we are talking about 127 Hours, or Between a Rock and a Hard Place, by Aron Ralston. This is a non-fiction memoir account about the events that Aron went through back in 2003. Aron is a canyon mountain climber type dude, and he was off climbing by himself in Utah in a canyon and ended up falling down, having a rock pinch his hand against the side of the canyon, and eventually to escape he had to cut his own arm off. I don't think I need to go into any more on that. It was all over the news back when it happened. I remember being in I was a freshman in high school, I think, when it happened. No, it was in 8th grade. I was in 8th grade when it happened. The spring before my freshman year. So I remember discussing it and hearing about it when it happened, but 127 hours is essentially the amount of time from his hand being pinched in there to him actually being rescued by a helicopter. The book, Between a Rock and a Hard Place, the memoir of the events, was published in 2004, and it, of course, details what all happened. And then in 2010, November to be exact, we got the movie version starring James Franco and directed by Danny Boyle. Danny Boyle, of course, is known for movies like Slumdog Millionaire and 28 Days Later, and Trainspotting, I think, was him as well. So he's a prolific filmmaker, and when he first heard this story, he wanted to make this a movie for like 4 years before it actually happened. Originally, Cillian Murphy was cast to play Aron. Of course, we all know him now as Oppenheimer. But he had to drop out, so James Franco got the role, and it is by far James Franco's best acting role he's ever done. You don't for a second think you're watching a movie when you're watching this. You think all of it is real because it just feels so real and enclosed. I mean, you're in this canyon with Aron and you don't feel like there's anything going on at all. And you really get the idea that Aron's clearly suffering. He doesn't know what is going on anymore by the 3rd or 4th day of him being pinned in there because he's got no food. His water is pretty much gone. And he's just sitting there, well, standing there, because he can't even really sit or anything. He's just kind of standing there all this time. So it's harrowing. It's hard to watch this movie. And there are reports when this movie came out that people passed out or felt ill while watching this movie. And it is hard to watch at times, especially when we get to the scene where we actually do the cutting. Because in order to do the cutting, of course, Aron first has to break his arm. Yeah, it's a bit much. If you're squeamish on that kind of, I mean, I'm usually not too bad when it comes to bloody violence in a movie because you know it's fake, but this just feels so real that it's really hard to watch, but it's also really hard to look away at the same time. But the film is got beautiful sequences. Well, there's a lot of the scenery is just gorgeous scenery. They show these canyons and stuff. But like I said, it is hard to watch at times. And when the movie was released, it was critically acclaimed. It garnered 6 Academy Award nominations and didn't win a single thing. Typical of the Academy to get it wrong. They usually do. But we're not going to discuss all that. But yeah, it's a true story of survival. The book does go a lot more in depth into Aron's life prior to the accident. Although actually it kind of goes back and forth. I mean, we have like a chapter where he's pinned, and then all of a sudden we do a chapter back when he's like a teenager, and then we go pinned, which was kind of a... I didn't love how the book was laid out. I liked the book. I found it very interesting. And I thought the movie does a really great job of adapting the story. having read the book about the actual events and then watching the movie, it really helped a lot bring it to life. It just really worked. And it's a fantastic film. The book is very interesting, very intense at times. I recommend both the book and the movie. I can't really say if one is better than the other. I will just say if you are pressed for time and you don't want to read a 400-page book, the movie is like 94 minutes. So it's a very fast moving movie. It doesn't feel like you sit there for that hour and a half. So if you're more pressed for time and you just want to watch it and be done with it, that's the way to go. If you want to actually savor it and learn a lot more about some of the stuff happening and about who some of the people are, because he does imagine these different people he's known. And of course, reading the book, I knew who they were, but watching the movie, you're going to be like, I don't know who these people are. What's so important about this? But well done adaptation of the movie. Very interesting book. I recommend both. You can determine on what kind of time you have on whether you want to read the book or watch the movie. But anyway, those are my thoughts on 127 Hours, aka Between a Rock and a Hard Place. I promised you this video the whole month, and I kept getting busy and kept not finding time to watch the movie, which is what I wanted to do. I wanted to rewatch the movie after I read the book, because I read the book like first week of the month. And here we are at the end of the month, and I'm just finally getting the video done. But those are my thoughts. What about you guys? Have you read this book? Have you seen the movie? Have you done both? I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below, and whether I should continue with adaptation discussion. I have other ones I'm debating wanting to get to at some point and kind of keep talking the film adaptations, because movies are a big part of who I am as well. And no, I'm not going to do Dune, because everybody in BookTube was talking about the movie and book comparisons for Dune. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try to do other things and maybe bring attention to some books or movies that people haven't read or watched. So that's all for today. So until next time, thanks for watching and keep turning pages.